The family of an unarmed man killed by Aurora police 2 years ago is now suing the city, claiming it embraced policies and practices that led to the man's death.
SWAT officers were attempting to arrest Kilyn Lewis when they confronted him at an apartment complex. Lewis has a cell phone in his hand when one of those officers shot him. Kevin Vaughn from 9 News Investigates joins us now. And Kevin, this is the second civil rights lawsuit filed by the family.
Yeah, Kim and Phil, the first suit was filed in state court a year ago. It alleges the officer violated Lewis's civil rights when he shot him. This federal suit asserts that Aurora officials fostered an environment that led to his death. 7 seconds. 7 seconds from the time a SWAT officer got out of his car until he shot Kilyn Lewis. Lewis was wanted on a Denver arrest warrant, accused of firing gunshots from a red Monte Carlo that injured a man. 9 News Investigates previously reported that detectives never found a gun, could not tie Lewis to shell casings at the scene, and didn't have fingerprints or DNA. This newly filed federal lawsuit alleges a pattern of conduct by the city of Aurora that fostered the environment that led to Lewis's death.
This lawsuit is not the first lawsuit to allege a systemic problem with killing, in particular, unarmed Black people in Aurora.
Attorney Lacey Owen represents Kilyn Lewis's estate. The suit alleges, among other things, that Aurora failed to properly train the department's officers.
Police departments have an obligation to make sure that their officers are competent, right? And competence includes not killing people illegally or unjustifiably.
The suit also asserts that by defending the officer who shot Lewis, the city sent a powerful message.
If officers know that they can kill people with impunity, they're not going to be motivated to stop doing it.
Arapahoe County's district attorney concluded that the shooting was legally justified. We reached out to the city of Aurora today, but with it being a holiday, no one was available to address the lawsuit. That separate lawsuit in state court, which alleges the officer who shot Lewis violated his civil rights, is scheduled to go to trial next March. Live in the studio, Kevin Vaughn, 9 News.
Some rain and storms popped up on this Memorial Day. Tomorrow we expect a similar weather pattern. Chris Bianchi is here with our first forecast. Chris, it was kind of just enough to mess up your car if you had just gotten it washed.
I think you can count the amount of raindrops on 2 hands that we picked up here in the 9 News backyard. But we saw the wind. That wind was for real in downtown Denver. We did see some 40 to 45 mile an hour gusts between about 2:45 and 3:15 this afternoon. That was because of dry microbursts. Rain evaporating before it hits the ground. Now, where it's actually raining and reaching the ground, Holyoke here in Phillips County, also on up into Sedgwick County and Julesburg, seeing some showers right now. In Denver, though, it's dry. We're in the mid-70s. Just a fair bit of cloud cover on this Monday evening on the tail end here of our Memorial Day. Northeast Plains, again, Phillips, Sedgwick County, since we're holding on to some showers, and same along the Raton Mesa, getting some beneficial water at this point. But in Denver, it is dry right now. But you head into the mountains in southern Colorado, that's where we're seeing still a few leftover showers. Those are clearing up as we speak, but we will still hold on to a few more showers for the rest of the evening. Temperatures, 60s across the eastern plains, a lot of 40s and 50s in the high country, and those temperatures going to take a bit of a tumble as they tend to do tonight and into early tomorrow before we get those temps back up into the 70s and low 80s tomorrow. But speaking of tomorrow, more gusty storms before what looks to be a pretty active mid to end part of the week. That'll include daily storm chances and increasing coverage and intensity with those storms. I'll explain that in just a few minutes.
Chris, thank you. This is new tonight. The U.S. military conducted strikes against Iran, even as the Trump administration says it is nearing a deal to end this war. A spokesperson for the U.S. military claims the strikes were acts of self-defense, targeting missile launch sites and Iranian boats that attempted to drop mines. The strikes were in southern Iran near the Strait of Hormuz. It's not clear what they mean for the ceasefire or the talks to end the conflict. Earlier today, President Trump posted that negotiations were proceeding nicely, but Iran said an agreement was not imminent.
A man faces charges accused of crashing through an employee gate at DIA. Denver police arrested him early this morning. They say he drove through a loading dock gate near the airport office building. It's called the AOB. It's an office building on the bridge from the main terminal to Concourse A. The person DPD arrested is suspected of DUI, resisting arrest, and criminal mischief, damaging property of more than $1 million.
A federal civil rights committee is accusing Denver's mayor and police chief of violating the Constitution during the 23-day pro-Palestinian encampment on the Auraria campus back in 2024. A year-long investigation by that committee found there was, quote, some anti-Semitism and what it calls 14th Amendment violations. The 164-page report says Mayor Mike Johnson ordered Denver police not to help clear the camp after an initial sweep giving protesters a pass no other group in Auraria's history has ever received. Police Chief Ron Thomas told a Denver Citizen Oversight Board hearing in 2024 that policing decisions on that campus were his and the mayor's to make.
Nothing's going to happen on that campus unless I and the mayor think that it's the right thing to do on that campus.
The mayor's office says this report is more about responding to pressure from the Trump administration and less about facts, and that Denver police should be commended for protecting the rights of peaceful protesters and de-escalating a volatile situation.
A man from Castle Rock died over the weekend while hiking the Manitou Incline.
Tonight, his family is remembering him as a loving father and husband. 9 News reporter Rachel Krause joins us now after speaking with his wife tonight. Rachel.
Yeah, Nick Jagalev was 48 years old and had hiked the incline before. His wife Coral says he was a gentle giant, introverted and very smart, but most of all, he was a great dad to their blended family of 7, now all missing him so much.
I love our wedding photo.
Every photo sparks a memory.
I didn't know that it's an American customary to shove the cake in each other's face. So he definitely was not expecting that.
Coral Jagalev remembers them all.
His kids were his world.
Scrolling through the album,
He's got the biggest smile on his face. He's so happy.
she searches every picture for her husband, for Nick.
While they're comforting, they don't share enough for me.
Photos that no longer feel like enough.
Yeah.
She'd rather have him.
He was 48. He was gonna be 49 next week.
On Saturday, Nick was out with their 9-year-old son at the Manitou Incline on a Cub Scout hike, a hike he'd done before, had trained for.
It was around the 900th step. Passerbyers saw him sitting with Sasha, our 9-year-old, and he looked very pale. He was offered Gatorade. He drank the Gatorade, got up, and that was it.
Coral says Nick had no health conditions, took no medications, didn't drink or smoke. That day on the trail, she says there was a combat medic and doctors hiking close by, along with first responders.
If anybody would have been able to save him, they were there. And there was nothing anybody can do from what we know.
What to do without him, Coral says, is hard to comprehend.
Very hard.
They have 7 kids in the home, 2 from her previous relationship, 3 together, and 2 nieces they had guardianship over.
Yes. We're a very blended family, but very, very happy.
Without him, their full house suddenly has a big hole.
He's a great dad. When I say he lived for his kids, he really did.
Now they'll all have to find a way to live, to move forward without Nick.
We've got a long road ahead of us, and a tough one to navigate going forward.
Coral says this loss has been especially hard on her 2 oldest kids. She says her ex-partner, who the family was very close with, died just 10 days before Nick. She says now losing Nick, too, has the entire family reeling. They're hopeful an autopsy will be able to provide some information about what happened to Nick on the incline and help them to heal. Rachel Krause, 9 News.
A substance use recovery home in Boulder is back open. It began accepting clients this month. The house on the east side of downtown has been a recovery support home since 2023. And it closed last fall. The city says it needed to find a new service provider, and it did. It chose Hazelbrook, which manages similar programs in Denver, Colorado Springs, and Pueblo. A client says the center gives him a chance to make better decisions for himself and his family.
I have a lengthy history. I got a very lengthy history between auto thefts to drug charges to assault on a cop. Having a little foundation under my feet will get me a long way.
Clients can still get resources after leaving Hazelbrook. The organization owns the building next door, which is dedicated to helping clients maintain access to counselors and psychiatrists.
Loveland is bringing back its 4th of July fireworks this year. They canceled them last year, citing budget constraints. City leaders say the fireworks are returning to celebrate two major milestones: Colorado's 150th anniversary of statehood and America's 250th birthday. The July 4th festival at North Lake Park will also feature food, music, family activities. The city says the fireworks were approved as part of this year's budget, though they say decisions about 2027 are still up in the air. There were fewer people hanging out by the water at Boyd Lake State Park this Memorial Day. That may be because there's no designated swim area this season. The decision was made because of low water levels. State Park said that there has been an increased amount of mud with the low water, and there is a significant distance to the water from the pavilion, which impacts safety and enjoyment of the beach.